Everybody can hear you, you know. Oh, boy. Hello. It is Monday. And we're back here at Monday Market 15 with me, Robert Morales, RCO Network, and my very special co-host, Miss Ashley Miller. Hello, Ashley. Great American title. Hello. Oh, hold on. There we go. There's a lot of laughs, a lot of enjoyment just because you're here today, and because we love to have you here. We also love to have our people on our show. Give us some love, give us some hearts, give us some emojis, whatever you want to do. We're here on Monday to bring you the latest updates in the Phoenix housing market. Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show that takes about 30, so hang in there. Hold on to your socks because you're in for a quasi-crazy ride. We only get a little bit of crazy, not too crazy, whatever. How you doing today, Miss Miller?
I'm having an awesome day.
Having an awesome day. We had an awesome last week, and we rolled into this week on a high.
Yeah, last week was super cool. I don't know if everyone knows what you did, but you put together this networking event that benefited a nonprofit who was a husband and wife team. And correct me, I cannot remember, Dance Studio Network? Or
United Dance.
United Dance, sorry, apologize. United Dance. Oh my gosh, it was freaking epic. They did a dance off and everyone participated and they had like husband group and the wife group. And it was so cool to see people out there and engage and just in the same room and appreciating each other.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like we had a networking event. It was horribly like uncomfortable because everybody's sweating, but at the same time, everybody had a good time.
Everyone had a blast. So you guys can check some of the photos out on my page, Ashley Miller, ASHLEE Miller, and then
Miller Time.
Miller Time.
And then you can also go to RCO Network for those photos and other stuff too.
To donate back to them. Not that this show's about that, but they're just it was so fun. It was so fun. I got to spend some really good quality time with Anthony and Stephanie. So.
Yeah, they're an awesome group. And so if you want to donate, go to the RCO Network page and then look them up, or go to United Dance Crew, or go to Ashley's Facebook page.
Yeah, I have the link on my page.
We all have links. But we're here to talk about the Monday market. You know, it's been a crazy ride. We're in the middle of June, so we're pretty much halfway done with the year. Can you believe we're 24 weeks in?
No.
So we're halfway done. We're getting older, Miss Miller.
I know. And actually, I don't mind aging. I'm not going to lie. You know, I've had some pretty awesome...
Well, you're like 25, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, my gosh. I'll be 39 this year.
Are you going to be 39?
Yeah, in October.
Oh, holy moly.
10-4, baby. 10-4. Over and out.
Roger.
Clarence. One of the things that when, every week we're always trying to come up with new ideas and what to talk about and deliver some really great information. And I want to bring up, last night I had spoken with my Sunrider's father on the phone about buying a vehicle. Not for myself, but for one of the boys.
Yeah.
And he started mentioning that car values have actually increased. And then you started sending me these articles, and it was just kind of ironic that you were sending me these articles about how our economy is slowly increasing, the inflation. But with that being said, I know they said that we're in a space where this is like the worst it's been since the Great Depression, but we're not changing. This is going to keep going. The real estate market is not changing. It's going. As we've talked about before, it might level out, but there's no balloon, guys. There's not going to be a balloon. We're not busting. We're going to keep going because look at all the other things that are increasing as well.
Well, I think government intervention at this point has been kind of the pinnacle point in that. You know, hey Claire, how you doing?
Hi Claire.
But government intervention at this point has been the thing that's driven that. I don't believe the government wants the housing market to collapse, and because it's just going to collapse every market. And there is a concern there may be a greater depression than there was back in 1929. But I think the government will end up doing whatever they're going to do to prevent that.
Yeah.
So all we're seeing is inflation and the increase in prices in every commodity, not just housing. We were talking about that. So I'm gonna go and put that on the display because we were.
This is very interesting.
So the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with their CPI data last week regarding some of the information. Food is fairly stabilized at 0.4% inflation. Year over year, it's gone up by 2.2. But other commodities like energy way up. One thing that Ashley highlighted or talked about at the very beginning of today's show was a used car vehicle. New vehicles are up 1.6 month over month, but up 7.3 month over month, or 29% year over year.
The average about what I heard yesterday was 15%. So on a used vehicle, you can drive off the lot. Remember when they said, "Oh, the moment you drive off the lot, you're going to lose equity." Now it's like you drive off the lot and you've gained 15%. You just.
And it's crazy how this market is functioning and how it's affecting housing, and what it's doing to all these prices. And just speaking off the cuff, seeing things and seeing the market the way it's functioning right now, I think right now we're stabilizing. Yeah. I don't see the crazy, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 over asking price unless it's one of those really nice updated houses. Perhaps you might get that. But on average, we're only seeing, a couple thousand over. I'll pull up that chart too. Let me pull up the charts here.
I think that one of the biggest things we can do as the economy is continuing to educate ourselves. And we've talked about this before, like write out, have a spreadsheet. What are your expenses? Where are you spending your money? That last chart you showed, it showed eating out was up from 0.4% to 0.6, which means that people are actually going out to eat more. So is that part of their budget, or is that because we've been so isolated we need to get out of the house? But the fact of the matter is, are we watching our budget and our expenses in order to be able to be sustainable?
Yeah, and then that's that number, food away from home reflective here, the 0.6%. So we're going to eat out more and obviously spending more money. And I don't know if it's the same for you too. I don't know if it's like a kind of a culture shock when, you're kind of used to not spending money, going out all the time. And then like this Sunday, we went out for breakfast and it was like a $45 breakfast. Mm-hmm. And it was just eggs and potatoes and.
Which you could have made at home for $15.
If that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, we got to leave a tip too.
Well,
so, I mean, stuff like that is kind of like a shock to the system, especially when you're kind of used to not spending so much.
I put in my notes, because I took a few notes. I always like to take a little bit of notes so I don't forget a few things.
Take a lot of notes.
I do take a lot of notes. Couponing. So there are ways to get groceries cheaper. Download the Fry's app. Download the Safeway app. If you have a Costco membership, get the Costco coupons that come in the mail. Restaurants. I just got a thing in the mail for a free pizza at a local restaurant. I was like, I want to try that restaurant out. And then they sent me a coupon. So, and understand when they have specials, and if you have kids eat free on Sundays at certain places or different discounts. And as you are watching where your money is going, I think this is one of the biggest challenges we're having right now, and why they're talking about the recession is we're not paying attention to where we're putting our money. And as prices are rising, we're not acclimating to it. We just keep spending and spending and spending and spending. I go to Fry's. I've said this many times before, and I'm going to reiterate it. I know when I'm going grocery shopping, I got all my coupons ready. I've got it. I go through the line. We use my coupons. And then right after that, and I always plan it around when I need gas, because then you can do like the triple coupons or the quadruple coupons. And then once you're done, then now you go get gas and you get like 40 to 50 cents off. It's a little bit more work. However, I can tell you I'm putting money back in my own pocket. I'm not giving away my money. So paying attention to what's happening, and we're talking about, so groceries are increasing, vehicles are increasing. What type of decisions are we making there? How are we as a society and as an economy going to stabilize ourselves individually and hold ourselves accountable?
Well, that goes to the whole thing of pulling back. And so people are becoming more aware of where their spending is going, particularly with housing too. Again, people, I think, are concerned that this housing market is going to crash or pull back or whatever it is. There's really no way to predict it until it's always in hindsight. Right. There is the crowd that says it's going to crash, and then there's a crowd that says it's going to be going on forever. And really, truly, nobody knows.
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all going to speculate, we're all going to guess, and then there's going to be somebody right. So you really, at the end of the day, have to make decisions based on, what's in front of you and what fits your budget and fits your circumstances. And luckily for Violet, for me, I mean, she's a heavy couponer. I don't have to worry about all.
I freaking love couponing all day long. And people make
well, you got kids. You got a coupon away like crazy.
They eat so much. Another thing I was I had read that right now, currently in the Arizona market, I think it's 1 out of every 5 homes is bought by an investor.
Yep.
But what it did not clarify, and I'm curious about this, if you guys, maybe any of you can answer this question.
I'll go ahead and put that up too.
Buying a second home, are you considered an investor or not? Because is a second home, an Airbnb? Is a second home just a vacation home for your family? Because I don't want people to be discouraged from buying a second home. If you live in the valley and you want to buy up north, buy it. I mean, the interest rates are low. This is a great time to purchase. Plus, it's a tax write-up. Yep. Start looking at the different financial benefits, and if you want to end up renting it out, now you have a cash flow coming in. So I don't want people to get discouraged from I don't want to buy a second home. It's overpriced, or it's going to continue to be overpriced because everything is going to continue to be, or it's increasing.
Well, and I think it just depends on where you're at. I mean, for a common family that's barely getting by on and scraping on, they're probably not looking at the secondary home market.
No.
You do have investors that are out there that are looking to stash their cash because they feel there may be a deflationary environment, or the value of their cash won't exceed inflation. That's always a big concern. The money you have in the bank, the money you've been saving, if you have an interest rate of 0.005% in your savings account, where can you put it? What asset can you buy or put it in so that you can hedge that? If inflation is 5% year over year, and your bank account's only making 0.005%,
right?
Guess what's happening? The value of your money is just going down. Your purchasing power is going down.
Well, and we would be ignorant to think that we could put our money and store it in a savings account, or even invest in stocks, depending on what your insight is. We've spoke about this before, but right now, real estate is the way to increase your cash flow. You buy a property, so don't be afraid to buy a second home at all. Yeah. I'm already ready to buy a second home, and I just bought.
Well, let me talk to you about a realtor. Hold
on.
Hold on. Let's talk about who represents you in that purchase, Miss. Just kidding. But
we can't be fearful. We just have to prep. Yeah. So what are the they call the 5 Ps? Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Can you say that? Can you say that 5 times?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance, and it's true. We need to properly prep ourselves financially in order to create what our vision is. And my vision is now to have a second home, and I'm not scared. So I guess my point is, don't be scared, and call Robert.
Because my performance is proper.
And you prepped.
And I prepped. That's right. Anyway, but as people go out there, they're still facing that environment where there's still a lot of demand. And let me pull that up too, since we're here. I've been watching this and tracking this, along the way as we've been doing the show. The demand index is right there. It's like creeping to this balanced market. People are getting outpriced, and people are not necessarily, again, making the over amounts on a house that they normally would. The other stats, so the supply, again, green does not mean good. Green just means little supply. Red on the supply index means there's too much supply. So you want that yellow balanced market. And then in the demand too, if it's green, it means high, and then demand on the red means low. So you want that balance. So you really want a balanced market. And if you go back to some of the charting too, right here, we're still at a half-month supply. So as that recirculates, we're still at about a half-month supply. So we don't have enough homes out there. But again, I think people are more aware, and people are concerned, not about spending for a house, but actually concerned about spending for their home goods and their food. And they're pulling back and really being concerned that this market's a little bit too crazy.
Well, I don't think it's crazy. Again, we if we're preparing ourselves properly, it's not going to be or feel as crazy as people are saying it, because social media is our news, and that's the one unfortunate part.
Is that where you get
we're
all
relying on social media to give us our news? No, I don't watch the news. If I watch the news, I'd be the most depressed person on earth.
Well, that's the thing too. People watch too much news, and they need to really sit back and look at hard numbers and hard stats.
Yep.
Instead of getting in the FOMOs and the YOLOs and all the other O's that they're out there, and really be mindful of numbers and really get with somebody that they can trust and look at these hard numbers themselves and make decisions based on that. I mean, most of what we have here, like making offers right now, anything around the $200,000 to $300,000 $200,000 to $300,000 range, people are making $20,000 offers over list price. Over 50% of sales were over $20,000 over, which is, crazy. Still, people are still going out there, but I see that diminishing.
Yeah, it is slowly decreasing as people are getting a little bit more conservative. But I don't think we have to necessarily be conservative. I think, again, I'm reiterating myself, and I cannot emphasize this enough.
You want people to buy second home.
Know where your finances are. That is number one. Are you talking to your CPA? Do you have an Excel spreadsheet with where your numbers are? What are you spending here? What are you spending there? And knowing that even renting in an apartment right now, or even renting a home, you have your first month's up front, your last month's up front, security deposit, pet deposit, blah, 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 blah. There's so many deposits. Now you're $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 into a rental. What if you took that $7,000 and found a house, and now that's a portion of which you put as your down payment? They found a way to rent for $7,000 as a down payment, 5 to 7. Why? How are we educating ourselves as a realtor? When you have a client, this is a question to you actually.
Oh boy.
When you have a client,
let's go. I'm ready.
You have the capability of educating them, and how do you make them feel comfortable about truly talking about one of the most vulnerable things is your finances?
Well, I mean, you have to really ask those kind of delving questions. What do they want? Where are they at? And where are they going in their life? Are they single and they don't care as much about the home? And do they have discretionary money to build that home? Are they really cash-strapped family that really can't afford too much of a house that needs to kind of down? There's so many questions that you need to probe a little bit further. So there's no real one set answer to any of it. And people are in different positions in life. People, credit-wise, if you looked at some of their credit reports, overextend themselves. I've seen people make $200,000, have 3 cars, and have 10 credit cards, and they're all maxed out, and they have 550 credit score, but they make $200,000 a year, which is crazy. It's crazy to balance all that out, but. So you have to take into consideration each person and each situation and scenario and what they want long term. And sometimes it's a challenge that way because people are in those moments and those emotional moments like, well, I just need a house. Okay, well, does it make sense for you to get a house?
Yeah, emotional decisions are not always the best decisions.
Yeah. And so there's so many things. So if there's anybody out there that's watching, I know there's about 5 people on right now. If you have any questions or anything in particular, or want to describe your situation, go ahead and type that in the comment section. We can kind of touch base with that and kind of see where you're at and what questions you may have in this economy. But
well, and it's interesting. I'll be very vulnerable with you guys. I make $100,000. That's how much I make. But I've been able to sustain
Hello, you
myself.
make $100,000. Hello, Ashley. So we need to talk after the show. I didn't realize this at all.
I mean, that's my average, and there are a ton of people in the title industry that make way more money than me.
Yeah.
But I find time for balance with family and all that. But I also am a spreadsheet person. Yeah. I'm also a couponer. So I actually probably live a lifestyle for somebody who makes $200,000 because I know how to manipulate money. And I guess that's my point. How are you manipulating your finances in order to control your financial future, your trajectory of what your goals are?
Yeah, and I guess that's probably the biggest question. If anybody wants to describe what their goals are and where they're at.
Or any tips and tricks. I'm always willing to listen to tips and tricks and new fun ways. Okay, this is a total side note. But I have this real estate client. They're hilarious. Yeah. And what they do is they watch the Fry's app, and it's if you buy a gift card to here, you get 4 times fuel points, and then double that on the double months. And they both have diesels. So, and you know who you are if you're watching. So they both have diesels. So he'll pull up on one side and fill his car up, and then they'll take it around and they'll put it in her car on the other side. Now they still got their 80 cents off or whatever the case may be. They've also bought gift cards that they're already going to use, and they use their coupons. Right there, they probably saved $350, which you're oh, that seems like so much work. But 350 times 12, I'm not good at math, but it's a substantial amount.
Yeah, I mean, anything you can. I mean, also, too, if you're out there watching, one way to manage your money a little bit better is actually start a business. I didn't realize how much beneficial it was to start, with my taxes and stuff. I'm able to kind of use a lot of those legally, pass off some of those tax burdens to the business and still utilize some of the things, for my personal use, but I do use them for primarily for business.
Well, that's how, like, I have the salon. So I have my own LLC that I do hair and makeup for in Old Town. Well, the salon's in Old Town, but I travel everywhere. And I am able to pass a lot of those expenses off. But one thing I will say, and I'm not a financial advisor, but this is just based upon my experience. If you are looking to buy a home, do not write off everything, because they go from your bottom line. They don't go from, if your small business makes $100,000 a year, but you're writing off 70, you only get 30,000 of that.
Well, you're also taxed on your net revenue.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So there's so many benefits to that. Annabella says hi, by the way.
Oh, hi, Annabelle. Oh, hi.
You saw her the other night.
Yeah.
She's a hot tamale.
She is a hot tamale.
But we won't talk about that on the show because we're here to talk about housing, not
So
food.
I think if we could go through a lot of the things that we
boy.
talked about, this is a great time to buy a second home. Don't be scared.
I think that market is something that people should consider, especially if, again, they're parking their money and they do have a little bit more discretionary income. I absolutely think it's a good way to do that. There are particular areas that you want to do that in. I like the Heber area.
Oh, I love Heber.
Yeah, it's kind of a tucked away in
Heber,
like
Christopher Creek, Forest Lake.
right off the Mogollon Rim. Yes.
So
I don't really like Payson so much. Sholo is actually another good place, but I believe that's a little overpriced for what it is. There's other areas in Arizona that I think that people can look for in the secondary market, but I'm actually helping out a client in Snowflake, and they found a little 40-acre property on a almost 3,500 square foot house, which is really cool, to be at. I mean, it's remote. Can they change that to Airbnb? Possibly. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Airbnb. I recently booked an Airbnb with one of my mutual friends. He's got a couple of places in Rocky Point, Mexico. Got a great discount, reached out to him, and it just started making me think more and more and more. That's passive income for him. They own they own two. They're building another one out there. Well, not building. The people are building. They're just buying what the person's building. And so we rented it. But here's the point is, I'm renting it from him as a friend. So thank you, Michael, for doing that for me and my family for Cameron's 16th birthday. But what I'm trying to express here is that we have the ability to save money in certain places and use that savings and that income to purchase a second home and then turn around in VRB or Airbnb, especially if it's in a beautiful area like Heber, which I like. I seriously love Heber.
And like I said, it's a little tucked away. There are certain parts out there too. Overguard. I don't really like Overguard so much, but
it's just a small little. It's like a pass-through town.
Annabelle says you're gorge, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Gorge. XOXO.
What's your opinion on this?
Oh, I get another question.
Buying land.
For what?
Well, you can park an RV on it. You can take your tents and camp on it. I don't know. But owning your own land, I feel like owning land right now is a better investment than letting your money just sit in, as you said, a savings account.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, any kind of real estate is always going to be a solid asset to go to. And not only that, you can leverage off it. So, I mean, if you go and buy 40 acres up in the Mogollon Rim, for 40 grand, the things to consider are access. Is there a road to your property? Do you have to go through somebody else's property? Utilization. If you want to just park a camper on there, and is it pretty close to river? I don't know. If you want to go fishing, whatever you want to do. The things with land to consider. If you want to, I have a lot of people inquiring about that to, build a house on.
Yeah.
And so the two main things with land you want to pay attention to: does it have utilities, so electrical, and does it have access to water? So those are the two main things. Is it public? Not too much. If it's too remote, you may have to kind of figure out some water situations. Septic, you can kind of bring in. It depends on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use it for camping, why not park a couple thousand that way?
I've been looking.
We're not financial advisors, by the way.
No.
So don't listen to us. You might lose all your money.
Personal. Morristown. So out west, past Lake Pleasant, Morristown just got their very first elementary school. I shouldn't say just got, but they got their elementary school now. They're outside of Lake Pleasant. You can buy land. You can build out there. You can park your RV. You can buy a manufactured home. I mean, there's so many options. So we just have to start thinking outside the box. Morristown's going to be remember when Lake Pleasant was so far? Or Vistancia was so far. Now Vistancia is like this gorgeous, gorgeous community. And what if you bought land somewhere like Morristown? Oh, believe me, it's far. But what if you did buy land and now in the future. Remember back in the day, and they'd be like, oh, my parents bought this little square of land, and now it's worth freaking $1 million, and they bought it for 10 grand.
Yeah. Was that in Gilbert?
Queen Creek, Santan Valley.
Yeah, that's all.
huge. So now let's think a little bit more west. I mean, west. I feel like west is where we're headed out to now. Yep. So buying a piece of land, if you do have that extra income that is there, I mean, possibly buying, I mean, not that I'm encouraging you to buy land, but buying a second home and land are the next on my chart right now.
I think the takeaway, because we're towards the end of the show, we're about 4 minutes out. I think the takeaway is, all things to consider. If you have a little bit of discretionary money, there is some opportunities, again, with the secondary home market as investors are starting to pull out. Let me put that up again one more time. Secondary home markets typically are kind of the outskirts of town, like we're talking about. Lake Pleasant up to like Crown King is another one. That's an interesting little town.
It is. They have a casino there.
Yeah. And then we have Heber, and we also have Show Low. Show Low, I think, is a little bit more. I like Show Low, but again, I'm a little priced out of Show Low.
I have a lot of family in Show Low.
But
we're riding Show Low.
Hold on, let me do that. Riding Show Low. All right. We have music here, so
we always do. So.
But anyway. But again, as we're talking about different ways to kind of park your money and your assets, these are definitely some opportunities that are coming up. I do believe there's going to be some shifting in the housing market. At least we're stabilizing. I don't know if that shift's going to be crash. I mean, it depends, again, what side of the coin you want to be on, with government and being involved and intervening in all these things. The eviction moratoriums, there's still some debate, some federal court precedents there that says you can't do that. CDC is a nonprofit. They can't tell a homeowner that they can't evict, a tenant. So that's still coming about. What that means and what the outcome of that is, I don't know. But we have some things shifting in the housing market that may benefit some buyers, hopefully, may not necessarily benefit sellers. But right now, it's still a seller's market. And you saw off the demand index. If I could put that up one more time. You can see in the demand index we're kind of dropping a little bit as far as people being priced out. I think that's really what the issue is. There's still some well-qualified people, but if you're looking at FHA, that's one of those loan programs that is being seen less and contracted less. Down payment assistance, seller concessions, all that stuff's kind of going away. But
well, it's not going away. It's just becoming harder and harder to get those types of programs accepted.
Correct, accepted by the seller. Yeah. And if they're represented well, then who knows?
By Robert.
Hello, by me, or whatever. Whoever you trust. At the end of the day, whoever you trust. Ashley's like sniffling like crazy.
Oh,
she's very nasally today.
Are so bad.
She's telling me allergies, but I don't know. She's like coughing all over my mics. But is there any takeaways for today, Miss Miller, that we need to discuss with everybody? We've got about a minute and a half left.
Okay. Takeaway 1: watch your finances. Where's your money going? How's it coming in and how's it going out? What can you financially afford? And understanding that, learning ways to save money. If you do have the extra income, consider investing in land or a second home. In that we are not going to hit a bubble or a balloon. We look like we're in the Great Depression, but what happened after the Great Depression? Prices just kept rising, and they're going to keep rising. And they're going to stay, and they're sustainable. So, being prepared. It's the 5 Ps.
Which we talked about. If you have a P out there and you want to throw one in, we can make it 6 Ps.
Yeah.
But again, I think there is some hope as we're coming into the show. I definitely, there's hope out there for people. Just hang in there and make some good decisions for yourself. Make some good decisions for your family, and I think you'll do okay. You'll be just fine. So, Robert Morales, RCO Network, signing off. Miss Ashley Miller, Great American Title. We're all here for your real estate needs every Monday. Come back at the 2 o'clock hour, and we'll take care of you guys. See you next week.
Yeah.